recording.
Okay, so here we are. This is the third Neon Coconut meeting. Welcome back from your holiday breaks. Hanukkah, Christmas, whatever the hell it is you celebrate. I didn't intend to actually bring one this week, but it kind of popped up because of the current circumstances that are currently going on in the SLMC, with the fact that the return of Dark Sleeper and NCR opening up with him with state manager powers or personal manager powers, whichever one it was. Basically, conversations went down with Rob, which we'll go into further here in a minute. But more or less, what went down is Rob didn't give a fuck. They've been friends for 15 years, and despite the fact that Dark has basically been excommunicated from the community by everyone after his doxing incident during his exit, uh, NZR basically just welcomed him back in, kind of lets him hang around, do whatever the fuck they want, and ultimately, it's put a bunch of people in a weird position about wanting to raid there. So that's kind of why I pulled this one together.
Right.
So with that, what I'm going to say is the fact that I really only want feedback from one person from each group. Be sure that you are of the rank to be able to agree to anything that comes down tonight. Having your group leader here. If not, we can just talk to your group leaders. So that's pretty much what I'm wanting, because there's a big group of Grand Fed here as old, and there's a few Voss guys and so on and so forth. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and let Sam talk because Sam has all the details drafted up regarding what exactly went down, so everyone's aware of it.
Okay.
So Sam, go ahead.
So I have a couple of text files that I'm going to share with you guys about proposals, about what we want to do, and these are just proposals. They can be altered however we decide. Unfortunately, regarding what Niv said, I cannot decide things on my own for my group. You know how we work. We have 3 overlords. They at least 2/3 of them have to agree on something. So. Also, a caveat is the first proposal is basically the whole apathy type shit, kinda, that we're used to from our group in particular. The second proposal is absolutely a blockade. Now, do not do the blockade unless everyone is on board. It will not work unless everyone is on board, but in my personal opinion, if everyone is on board, it will, and it's easier to do and to keep up with stamina wise than the whole, normal Black Crusade shit we do. Alright, so with that, I will go ahead and post these. And
You can dump them in
there's the first
Neon
one.
Coconut.
Yep.
There you go.
There's the second one. Yes, I've already restarted recording. So take a minute to look those over. They're the same except for the consequences for refusal that's near the bottom.
And just out of curiosity, was anyone not aware of what went down with NCR and Dark? I mean, a lot of you guys tend to post in here in this server, so you kind of know usually what's going down. I don't know if anyone was totally missed it.
I think a quick recap is in order for people we're not able to see the chats.
Okay,
It'll
fair
be
enough.
good for posterity when you look at the recording for anybody that isn't aware.
Yep, that works.
Alright.
Go ahead, Sam. You can
I already give a recap, but yeah, here, hang on. Let me just take it straight from the thing. On November the 5th of 2019, Dark Sleeper decided to quit the community whilst throwing a fucking tantrum, as some unfortunately do. During this, he released the personal identifying information, also known as documents or docs, of several people within the community, some of whom were content creators. During this incident, a GPU crasher was also released by him over a separate notice. Of lesser note, but no less malicious, he released quite a few pictures of people's IRL likenesses, likely collected over years from various discords or other chats, and obviously not all released with consent. His targets included, but were not limited to, Wyatt, Melna, Binary, Signal, Chris Xstar, Kelketh Kieselstein, Deli Nayar, Marcus Brimstone, Lee Ivy Lord, Proteus Hand, Yellow Highland, TLD2 Resident, and others. Some of this information he gleaned through prior association with him and his group Chaos Decretum. Some was acquired through business dealings. He got it through PayPal and shit with him for the benefit of that group. Some of these people even considered Dark their friend at one point or another, sometimes for years. This is the kind of person Dark is. And I give some screenshotted evidence, and that's pretty much where we're at.
Okay. So, I hope you don't mind if I cut in here, but do you think we should go over an equally brief recap of like the options? Just because I know there's basically two, but not everybody's aware of what a Black Crusade or really entails in this context, nor what a blockade might mean.
Okay, so
I can explain them, or you can.
there's been some confusion. When Chaos did a Black Crusade, basically what we did and why I'm calling it this is, every time we've declared a Black Crusade, all we wanted to get going was some sort of community-wide punitive action against either an individual or a group. That's all a Black Crusade is.
All right.
So, for the first proposal, we have some conditions for NZR to achieve amnesty, either for their entire group or individuals within that group. And then we have consequences if they refuse. And for the first proposal, the consequences if they refuse is no member of the SLMC that agrees to this document will participate in fair combat on your sim. If you get raided at all, it will be by multiple groups using their strongest gear, or possibly even gear that has absolutely no place in reasonable combat. We will coordinate, send notices, etc. to make sure to give you as hard a time as possible. 2. Any raid or defense you try to perform will be intercepted by representatives of any, and quite possibly every group that agrees with this document. They will grief you. They will spawn lock you. They will generally make your lives in the SLMC, and only in the SLMC, hell. Tools may be distributed to facilitate this endeavor. And finally 3, which is the same for both proposals, any content creators that agree with this document will be actively discouraged from doing business with you. If you don't care at all that Dark doxed someone through business transactions, then there is little reason to believe that you yourselves will refrain from performing a similar act. And these are both the same, they're right below it. What we will not do, this is the same for both proposals, what we will not do and do not agree with. No member of the SLMC that agrees with this document will GPU crash you or dox you, nor will they copybot, leak, or otherwise steal any content your members have produced. Anyone that does, whether they agree with this document or not, and the burden of proof is on you, as in NZR, will be subject to the same or similar punishments as those outlined in this document. And 2. No member of the SLMC that agrees with this document will take any punitive action that crosses the Second Life in real life barrier, beyond hurt feelings and in-world denial of service. And quite honestly, any punitive action is considered an in-world denial of service. Anyone that does, whether they agree with the document or not, the burden of proof is on you, will be subject to the same or similar punishments as those outlined in this document. Any questions so far?
I just want to say it sounds good to me. I like everything that's written up there, and I think a nice key point of that is holding ourselves or anybody that agrees to not doing the sort of stuff that we're holding against Dark, because part of that drama originally started because a lot of people were trying to justify rubbish like counter doxing or whatever, where people just eventually took things too far when the original intention was just to, stop people from doing that in the first place.
Exactly.
So,
and I forgot to go over the consequences for the second proposal. On the second
before you
proposal,
do,
yeah, go ahead.
What do you need me for, Nev? Because I was kind of relaxing, playing some games and shit.
But we talked about this 2 days ago.
No, I have no idea.
I promise you we did. But
No, we
regardless,
didn't. You might have.
it's
You
a
might
meeting.
have did to. You might have did to more for somebody, but not me.
If it's one of the meetings, it's regarding what we're doing about NZO.
Yeah,
Oh.
for both parties that just joined in recently, we're discussing the action that participants of Neon Coconut here, and I guess the SLMC at large, will be taking against NZR's harboring of Dark Sleep.
All I'm gonna say is probably Morphal ban Dark, but he's not gonna ban a group kind of thing. He just.
Yeah. I mean, if that's your stance, that's good. We're here to explicitly discuss that and where everybody stands.
That's all I can say. I'm not Morph. He's the leader. He makes the decisions.
Okay.
That's
when it comes to Faust and Fernium, our only beef is with Dark. Dark's a piece of shit, but he's a piece of shit that pretty much Apple and Rob had no really control over the shit that Dark did towards Faust. So it's only Dark who's being punished. I'm not punishing an entire fucking group. We're not fucking coercion.
Okay, well, that's. I mean, I see where you're
Hold
coming
on.
from. However, they also do have control over how they treat Dark in the future. Like, they're giving him a
Yeah, that is true. But as I repeat, I'm going to repeat myself, and only once. That's how we stand. Only Dark is the one being punished.
If it comes to where fucking other people do shit with Dark and stuff, they'll just get banned as well. Like,
Right.
that's how I see it. And I think
I don't think that we've fully we have actually discussed what the actions that are being proposed in the Black Crusade style response will be. Although I assume that we can pretty much summarily say that the blockade option would be expecting pretty much all groups to universally blockade, ban from access to their sim.
If every
and
group
beyond.
isn't on board, then there's no fucking point in doing it. But I'll go over it real quick anyway. And the second proposal, which is the blockade style, the consequences, it's all the same for amnesty and whatnot. What we will not do and do not agree with, but the consequences if you refuse are different. Every member of the SLMC that agrees with this document will permanently estate ban you and any alt you may have. If, for some ungodly reason, you are autistic enough to completely fill a ban list, which is 500 people, you will be rendered unable to do combat in any sim through use of other estate management functions, such as auto return. No member of the SLMC that agrees with this document will visit your sim for any reason. And number 3 is the same as the other. Any content creators that agree with this document will be actively discouraged from doing business with you.
All right. Sorry if I'm just kind of taking charge here. I don't want to seem like I'm using my position here as some kind of leverage just to say words. But on the other hand, yeah, I just want to say, first of all, I think even if there's some inkling of the blockade sounding like a good idea, I think it's just impractical to expect everybody here, especially with the evidence on the hand, to engage in one. So if you do feel like a blockade of that scale needs everybody to be engaged in it, we're just going to have to not, just for concerns of practicality.
That's fine. It was it was just suggested by some other people, and I agree with it, but I can go either way, honestly.
Yeah, we're just discussing our options here. Azrael, you have something to say.
Now, I've been around long enough to see these kinds of actions be taken throughout history with different technological levels and different tools available. I was around for crushing apathy. I was around for situations that happen with coercion and other groups. And what I don't want to get into is a Black Crusade level event. Now, blockades I don't think are possible unless it's an all or nothing situation. Unless every single group gets in on it, it's just going to strengthen their position. But a Black Crusade level thing, like you were talking about, using straight up close to griefing tools, might be pushing things a little bit here. One thing we discussed yesterday is that there's probably a good chunk of their members that has no fucking clue what's going on here. They don't know that their group is harboring someone that's done all this stuff. Not everyone has this context. And if we try to give this context to them while we're shitting all over them and their group, they're going to rightfully circle the wagons and think that everyone's just picking on them. But I would propose a crushing apathy level one rather than a Black Crusade. A crushing apathy would be where it's just unending constant raids, where you may be deploying tier 2, tier 3 weapons, whatever your tiers are, but you're not fully going ridiculously OP, grief level.
And Faust has been hitting them every day.
I'm
not
inclined to
really limiting.
disagree with that because, if I may,
Go ahead.
Giving somebody combat is what they want. The official stance of Grand Fed, at least per Griff that I'm aware of, is we're not going to their sim as long as Dark Sleeper has any capacity for any kind of influence in that group. NZR is welcome to come to our sim, but we're not going to go to their sim and give them anything or any attention. Because all Dark Sleeper is looking for is attention.
Right.
Yeah,
If you
I
give him
think I'll
attention.
interject with that one. That one was actually coming from me, Deli. Just
Oh, was it
because
from you? I'm sorry.
that one. No, you're fine. That was from me. And just because I don't want Griff to be laid all the blame on this one. If I gave that announcement yesterday whenever I found out that Dark has admin rights within their sims and within Proteus sims stuff
And
like that.
he has to have his state manager rights because I saw a screenshot of him freezing.
Listen, he no longer has those, according to Apple and Rob. And I stated as much. I stated as much in the note card in the notepad file.
Okay, well, I mean that's still my given order is still standing just for the simple fact is that I know that it doesn't matter whether he has EM rights or not. I know that Dark, just because of the way that things happen, he's still going to target Grand Federation members, and I would rather mitigate that as much as possible by keeping them out of areas where he had or maybe does not even have power anymore. But either way, I want to mitigate that as much as possible because I don't want my members having to deal with that bullshit.
Sure.
Right.
All right,
and
all right.
I have 2 points.
Hold on, guys. One at a time, please. Don't over what points are we trying to make?
Cat just joined, by the way.
Hey, Kat. It's just 2 points I wanted to make in regards to something that Rio said and something that you said as well. First, I'll address yours, in that you said that they just want attention. The crushing apathy level, a crushing apathy level situation is one that it bypasses that because there's only so much attention a person can take. Crushing apathy, they scheduled raids. They would have and when I mean non-stop, I do mean non-stop.
I was there.
They had schedules of people coming in to raid, one group to pass off to the next, to the next, to the next. There's only so much attention even a troll can handle. That was why it managed to kill Merceteers even as strong as they were.
Can I interject something?
Let me just get to the other point I was making with Rio, though. And that he'd just grief us and ban people. And on the flip side of that is it's a catch-22. They can either allow us to attack them, which smashes them into the ground, or they start griefing and banning people, in which case they blockade themselves.
Here's why it worked against Mercs and why it won't work against NZR. Mercs were very, very strict with combat, and they wanted to do combat a certain way. Everyone else didn't want to do it that way, so they did it their own way. That's why it worked against Mercs. It won't work against NZR because they're essentially fighting Decredum.
They're just going to turn physics and shit off, and when they get tired
I have another reason why it won't work. We had a lot more fucking people and groups back in the day. Nobody has fucking time for that. We're all late 20s and shit.
It was 6 years ago. It was 6 years ago. We all have jobs now. We don't have time for that.
And back then, people were more willing to work with each other than they are now.
No, that's not true.
Absolutely not. No, absolutely.
Not as like a dunk, but we're all here right now, whereas what quickly followed Crushing Apathy was basically Fairweather Friend infighting every other week. So I think that Crushing Apathy was kind of a miracle in the sense that the SLMC all managed to scapegoat Merceteers hard enough to come together as a team. That's just how I saw it.
That's all it was. It was just the enemy of my enemy is my friend is how the situation was in the entirety of it.
Yeah.
As for giving Dark attention, too fucking late. Like I said, this is already giving him attention.
Yeah. I think just to speak outside of what is my opinion and more just look at what the situation is right. I think that there's sort of two general areas of opinion that we're at right now. We've moved past the possibility of a blockade, and now we're looking at either choosing to take the Black Crusade style option presented by Sam, or alternatively, take this more apathy style option presented by Asriel and presumably other people who are taking up that stance. And so I wanted to say I don't think that we will genuinely come to a unanimous agreement on this. I think people are going to handle this in whichever way best suits them, but we're coming here to sound ideas off of each other and try and come up with the best one possible. And I think that let's think. We also have to accept that, as mentioned earlier, we don't have the manpower that we had before, and I think that different groups are going to be pulling different levels of weight. So I wouldn't start holding it against each other if they're not able to do like a massive, super universal action with everybody in their group if they can only get a certain amount of guys on every week. But in the same breath, I wouldn't pull that excuse too much to the point at which you're basically not doing anything.
Yeah, and that is fair. And there's one thing I am going to add regarding this, though. I completely expected with this to go down. I more or less allowed this entire meeting to happen because I thought the idea was like, okay, everyone needs a chance to talk it out and kind of figure out where everyone stands group wise. Thing is, the fact that inaction is to be expected from some people. It's just what we've grown to expect. Some people just don't want to do things, and some people just want to have combat, and that's it. They don't care about anything else that happens. So I'll just swear to God.
Niv, Ryo's got a point for you in forum discussion.
Yeah, let's give Ryo a read.
So why don't we ban dark and specifically offenders, and then take a heavy-handed approach to administration where people get one chance before catching a ban? Wow, that's a logical approach to a situation like this, because ultimately everyone's right. We don't have enough people for a sort of crushing apathy sort of situation. We don't have no one's gonna ultimately. You're not going to get enough people on board for a blockade because it's going to take everyone, and blockades historically have not helped much in most cases. As we saw with VG getting blockaded by Merxiteers, Ordo, and a bunch of other groups back in the day, they continue to persist.
Ro, we'll circle back to you.
Yeah. The one thing that I do want to say though regarding it is the fact is the inaction that you're going to expect from people is going to be the same people that are going to pretty much approach inaction every single time when something shitty goes on. I'm going to be a kind of a bit of a dick here, and you guys are going to have to forgive me for that. And Morph and I are really good friends, but I expected exactly this regarding Detrigan's stance regarding it, because I've already talked to Morph about it. I've talked to him about multiple of other issues, but the thing is the fact that Dark did the doxing and NZR is not completely responsible for it. What they are responsible for is harboring him. What I am going to talk to Morpheus about is potentially not going there to give them combat. I don't know how that'll go, but
Morph doesn't really lead the raids there, anyways.
Well, it doesn't matter if Morph does or not. Morph can make the call not to do raids there. I mean, it would make the most logical sense. Why give the guys traffic when they're currently harboring Dark? I mean, unless there's a sense of solidarity there regarding doxing people.
That's been our stance on it in Grand Fed for the most part.
That's kind of where we're at right now too.
We're not giving them any traffic. If they decide to come to our sim, they're basically on thin ice. And if we find out they're doing anything based on Dark Sleeper's whims, then they're going to be in real trouble. But
okay,
yeah,
for the most part, we're not punishing their entire group until we know that Dark Sleeper is manipulating them.
Right, and Rose got something to add to that. So Rose saying information is also key. Always inform the members of NZR why the groups are doing what they're doing in response of NZR taking in / harboring ?Dark. They should know. If they don't do dumb shit, or don't do the dumb shit to members, would be fine. So my point is, innocent members shouldn't be a victim of their leadership.
Well, and I agree there. Except for I'm going to also once again be kind of a dick. I know who their member base and who they have right now, and as it stands right now, they're all available. They all know what went down because all of them were from, like, every single one of them that is currently there is aware of when it went down at that period of time, because every single one of them were in that Discord. There's no doubt about that. And I mean, there's probably some sort of pictures or proof or something. I'm sure we can get someone to attest to that, but they're all aware of what went down. Of what went down regarding the doxing from Dark. All the ones that you see raiding on a daily basis that come to your sims and do combat, or you go and fight them, like Zion, Lavinia, fuck, who else here?
Zion hates me.
All of them, all of those guys, they were all there when this went down, so there's really no excuse for them.
Can I
think it was after I was booted out.
Yeah. Can I make a point against that? That's taking in the fact that, probably quite truthfully, a lot of the people who are there cheerleading Dark have just followed Dark wherever he went, and that a lot of people otherwise from Decretum have ended up there that didn't decide to cut off when Dark did the dumb stuff.
Mhm.
But on the other hand, there's always a chance that they could recruit new people. There's always a chance that they're just kind of thick, not like dummy thick. I mean, dumb thick,
we've got
genuinely stupid and don't get the whole situation. And they could have a change of heart. As unlikely as it sounds, people have changed opinions in the past. So maybe just out of more so respect for our own policies of not just dunking on people without explaining explicitly why. It might just be good to keep that in mind, just as a sentiment, at least.
Basically, I think we need to kick the ball into their court and say, you need to get rid of Dark, ban him from your sim, don't let him around. He's not welcome in the SLMC if you want to be part of the SLMC.
Well, the thing is, the fact that you read, Sam, did you release the note card regarding your you and Rob's talk? Yeah.
It's the haste bin logs.
Yeah, if you refer to that, Rob has stated the fact that him and Dark have been friends for 15 years, and ultimately whatever went down isn't his problem.
Well,
so
no one's saying they can't be friends, but he's not welcome in our community, and if he wants to be part of our community, he needs to respect.
No, I'm going to say this right now. I personally believe that whatever we do, it should be the same thing across all groups, and Dark, as far as I'm concerned, is done forever in this community. Anyone who fucking harbors him, they should be just as culpable.
If I may.
No, I'm not finished yet. I'm not finished yet.
Oh, sorry.
Except I forgot what I was gonna say.
Sorry.
So never mind.
Loop back to you.
All right, so no, I kind of want to just caveat for that, and also what Cecil was saying, because I mean, I get the point where you're saying they may have a change of heart, but to be honest with you, considering the fact that the majority of everybody that was Decretum at the time, I very seriously doubt that's going to happen, especially if they've been following Dark around. I very seriously doubt it's going to happen. It'd be a miracle if it happened. It would be great, but no, it's not. It's not going to fucking happen, especially if they were cheerleading on Dark. They didn't say anything while Decretum was going on and all that shit was going down. That was my main point during the whole Decretum bullshit, was that if people in his group really had an issue with what he was doing, they wouldn't be sitting there cheerleading him on and letting him do it. They would be saying something or they would be leaving the group. Legitimately, if you have morals and values and you didn't agree with that stuff, then you wouldn't have been part of the group. You would have walked away.
Okay. I remembered what I was going to say.
Go ahead.
So basically, in regards to Grand Federation's stance on letting people come to your sim and then not making their lives hard, is that, we tried this thing with Decretum. Okay, it didn't fucking work. All right. Basically, the whole we'll give him a chance. No, dude. Yeah, and it's really hard to say we'll grief them if this whole conditional shit. If it's gonna change, then it's really fucking hard to get an entire group to keep up with what we decide today.
The point I wanted to make is that this would be one thing if he broke only just one or even just two of the big three. The problem is he broke all three of them. He doxed, he GPU crashed, and he content leaked, from what I understand. He did the big three all at the same time, multiple times, from what I understand, as well in some cases. This is not a situation that, very few people actually manage to pull all three off and actually just never come back, or actually come back at all, rather. This is a persona non grata type of situation. It's got to be a firm. This part of this isn't just about him. It's about future cases where someone may think, "Yeah, I'm totally going to do this," and people that may want to harbor them. It's supposed to be a deterrent as well as a punishment.
If I may, especially considering if he's still in the community, other people might see it and think that's the norm. It might also put more blemishes on the community. We're trying to come back from all this bullshit, we really don't need someone perpetuating it.
So
what that might? Oh, do you want to go first?
I just wanted to say, so what should we do as a response? Should we like demand that they just estate ban Dark and then they can be part of the community, or like what are our demands from them?
Okay,
like specific.
I'll go over that because it's the same for both proposals that I had.
Okay.
To the leadership and associated members of News Iridium Republic, you have created this situation. You have allowed the serpent back into the garden. You can remedy this situation. Conditions for immediate and total amnesty group-wide. 1. Estate ban Dark Sleeper resident and all associated alts from your sim permanently. 2. Apologize. Your pride got you into this situation. Swallowing it can get you out. Conditions for immediate and total amnesty for individual NZR members in case NZR's leadership refuses to comply and you do not wish to be associated with supporting a doxer. 1. Leave NZR permanently or until conditions for group amnesty have been met. 2. Do not return to any sim NZR operates out of until the conditions for group amnesty have been met. 3. Do not associate with remaining NZR members until the conditions for group amnesty have been met. 4. If another group falls under the purview of this crusade by also harboring Dark or any of his alts, do not go to that group's sim or associate with their members until they have also achieved amnesty through the same process.
Reasonable.
I'm inclined to agree with that. I can't speak for GrandFed as a whole, but
I only caught like the second half of it. I was dealing with my son.
It's basically they got to get rid of Dark if they want to be out of this.
Okay, yeah, then I mean I can agree to that completely. Like, but I would say I could make that call because I normally do the day-to-day stuff with GrandFed, but this is definitely something I would need Griff's opinion on.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure Ryo would agree with me. And normally the three of us tend to talk about it, but I mean since both Ryo and I agree on it, I'm pretty sure Griff is going to swing our way with this one.
I'm just going to say this also, as probably just a general statement to everyone. Don't punish them through combat. Combat is what our community is about. This isn't about combat. This is about punishment. So you need to not give them a punishment through combat. You need to put your foot down.
I have a question.
If that's the case, then that would, real quick, if that's the case, then we don't need to be giving the combat period, whether they come to our sim or we go over there. Like, if
honestly,
that's the case.
Honestly, I mean, I'm already skeptical about giving them combat in our sim, even though they've never been to our sim.
Yeah.
It's still, I mean, I understand we don't want to punish the people who aren't responsible, but, you know, guilty by association is a thing.
Okay. Now, my question is, do you consider basically griefing them to be combat?
No.
Okay.
I consider giving them any attention too much attention. I mean, aside from just telling them, get rid of Dark or you're out.
Then that's,
I would just tell them
that's,
to go
kind
home.
of, that's kind of a blockade then.
I do have a suggestion. Rather than a blockade that relies on bans, because that does require actual action, we could go a similar route, but one that requires inaction. We literally do nothing. They come to our sim, we ignore them. We don't even engage them. They want to fight? Come back later. You don't go to their sim. If they come to yours, you just sit around, don't engage them, ignore them.
That is a possibility.
I can refute that immediately. That allows them to occupy your sim and then deny you combat from other people.
I mean, not particularly. I mean, I can kind of see your point there, Sam, with that one. But to be honest with you, if it's NZR and they just go occupy the sim, I could just ping all of my guys and be, "Hey, we're all going to the continent. Let's go fight over there," and everybody just leaves.
I don't think we should let them.
I mean,
just take
personally,
the sim, though.
see, but I don't. But, I mean, I get it. I get the reasoning behind it, and I see why people don't like the idea. But personally, it's a sim that doesn't mean shit if we're not there in it.
Yeah,
I don't really care. Like personally, if we're not there, yeah,
and
they're capturing an empty sim that's not being, defended by anybody. We don't care. If we don't care, then that makes them look stupid.
We also have a warning involved in that if we actually just fully blockade them and use bans, Proteus has pretty much said that he's going to grief the shit out of anyone that does.
Nobody cares about Proteus. Proteus is impotent.
Yeah,
that's okay. Yeah. That's not needed, Dilly. Yeah. Regardless, that's Proteus. I'm pretty sure has stood down from that whole stance, but
I hope so.
We'll see about that. We'll see about that. Regardless, that's not what the intention is here. I honestly. The problem is the fact that I try to keep a pretty chill group, and I don't want that sort of fucking drama around my dudes. I have a lot of new people to the SLMC coming in too, so it's it's bad fucking it's bad publicity. It's not the thing we need right now, and ultimately we're not going to get a united front on this. The fact of the matter is that more than likely what's going to happen after this is someone here in a few days, someone's going to end up being like, "Oh fuck, I want some combat. Look, NZR has 4 people on sim. Let's go raid them." Probably
sorry.
Probably someone in a group in this channel, but ultimately it comes down to really just kind of holding together on it. We need to have someone that can keep calm and not fucking have their emotions don't get in their feelings and talk to NZR about it. Rob, I don't know the dude, so it's hard to say what's going to happen with that one, but someone probably needs to talk to him and just explain to him the fact that the situations are kind of like dug for themselves and people are already not really wanting to deal with them at this point.
Yeah,
That's the best first step.
I tried.
I don't think it's more of a one-on-one situation. I think it needs to be more of a all the group leaders, kind of need to come together and talk to him as a group leader and just be like, hey, this is where we stand. I get that you and Dark have been friends forever, and we're not faulting you for that. But we've dealt with all of this way before you came back, and we're not going to deal with it again. And if you're associating yourself with him in this manner and letting your group be associated with him, who are comprised of majority of ex-decorative members and people that actually followed him, then we're not going to give you guys the time of day. And all the group leaders need to do that together. I think that's the only way that we even are going to maybe get over Rob. But other than that, I don't see his mind changing at all, personally, from what I've heard about him.
Friends, I don't think they're gonna change. I don't think he's gonna change his mind and just flat out do it. So
I have one more.
Like, if he's reasonable, yeah, sure.
Honestly, at that point, his group's gonna suffer because of it.
We should give him the chance.
I have one more thing. Sorry.
Sam?
In regards to the we'll let them capture an empty sim, is combat the only thing that you do on your sim? I'm sure there's like R&D shit mostly that requires a sim for the most part, and I'm sure you don't want to be fucked with while you're trying to do R&D shit, which they will fuck with you if you're doing R&D shit.
I mean, that's cool. I mean, that's really the case. I mean, most of my R&D members, at least majority of the higher ranking ones, are officers, and they probably have EM rights. Plus, it's not that hard to ping one of us and get on and have us just turn shit off like that or kick them from the sim. Plus my guys will just fuck off and go somewhere else to work on shit if they really need to.
I have something that's a bit divergent, but I feel it's really pertinent. And it's in regards to, okay, this is all surrounding Dark Sleeper, right?
Yes.
Well, we have other people in NZR who, and this has been discussed previously in group rep chat or Neon Coconut, we have Helbrecht that I'd say he's pretty much as guilty as Dark if you look at everything that went down. It's just that our current narrative is that when we get rid of Dark, we get rid of the problem. And,
oh no, I was getting there. Good job. Bud.
No, I mean, what can I say? What I want to do, and it might be a bit silly asking for everybody to like change or shift something even after we recognize, but it's not such a big thing when I'm just saying we need to just start bringing up the fact that Helbricht was also involved. We need to just start not being quiet about these people that we feel are also relevant to this, because for all we know, in another timeline where Helbricht got a little bit more attention, this is Dark and Helbricht being kicked out of the SLMC. All of these actions would have been prefaced with maybe a longer list of people who we've all got evidence of doing shit like this, but we haven't done anything about. I'm just saying I want this to be like realistic on some level. Like we need to just adjust our scope so it's just a little bit larger than as soon as we get rid of Dark, we get rid of the problem and like pick out a couple more people, namely Helbricht. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you completely on that one. I don't think it's 100% the problem with getting rid of Dark. Dark is not 100% the problem. We've been working on that one, but you are right. We do have a long history of inaction.
Dark is the most immediate problem, though.
Well, the fact of the matter is Helbricht and Dark were both involved in the situation to a heavy extent. We pushed Arasaka before they died. R.I.P. boys. And they got rid of Helbricht, and Helbricht and Mikhail were friends, and they did it. The problem is the fact that if you really look down at the group member list, if you look down at the situations, if you look down at the behavior, literally the reuse of the demo radio armor remeshed in 2019 or 2020 or 2019 is when it got made again. It's literally just fucking. Oh fuck! What was that group that Dark ran? That was literally just like trying to make fun of Ordo.
Ordo.
Yeah, that's it. Whatever. Fuck.
Regardless. PSC.
Yeah, it's literally just a dark group with a different face on it. But I personally am not going to subject my dudes to dealing with them. Like, frankly, I'm just going to grief them out of my sim. I mean, that's just going to be how it is. The ones that I know were not part of it, or random people from NZR, I'm just going to let them know why they're not being permitted to do combat in either of my regions, just because I don't feel like fucking with it. I was cool. I was cool with Dark, and Dark threw out a picture of me. He fucked over Kelkith and a bunch of other people. He got Delhi and a bunch of others. I mean, something has to be done here. And
Here's
what did you do, Kelka?
He released his full name, and
oh my god,
along with myself and a few others. But I think here's something that can be done that I think everyone can maybe agree with. Like maybe what we need to do is we need to send a system shock essentially through NZR. We need to send a wave of notices or something that says that we're going to be taking actions individually against this in our own way, but we're as a community united in reviling this behavior. So like everyone can do what they want as a response to it, but regardless, we're all united in a response against it. And when they see that, they're going to go, oh, fuck. So maybe we don't all agree to blockade them. Maybe only some of us want to do that. Maybe some of us want to just grief the shit out of them as a response. Regardless of what methods we take, the message is the same.
The message needs to be the same, but also the same thing along the lines of the basic guidelines of not giving them combat, like not treating them like a group. That's the whole thing. Is you can handle it your own way, and I'm sure most of the groups will, and there's nothing wrong with it. You do what you will with your own guys and your own group. But do not treat them as a legitimate and active group. Like that's it.
Yeah, like we could argue for hours on whether we should blockade or Black Crusade them or do this or do that. In the end, it's just going to come down to whatever the individual group wants, and I think we should embrace that, but keep our message as a whole the same as fuck off, stop this shit, ban Dark, or don't be considered a member of the community.
I think the best way to handle it would be treat them as if you would treat a griefer. If they're griefing on your sim, do you ban them or do you grief them back? If you're on another sim and you see a griefer, do you just leave or do you grief them back? Like
every group handles it a different way, but you know.
Okay.
Well, what if
I have
there's
a question
device to do all the dirty work for you?
I mean, I have a little box like that for that we made for Decredum. I can just use it on them.
An auto ejector with the NZR UUID in it, and that all the sim owners just put it down. It just automatically ejects them as long as they're in the group and as long as
gives them the note card.
I mean, we kind of have something similar to that was actually designed for Decredum. It's a 32-meter radius box that I can put down over a spawn hub, and it sends you home every 2.5 seconds.
Can we reel this back for a second here? Because I think we're missing Delhi's original and quite pertinent message of, regardless of how we handle it, be it with boxes or just griefing or ignoring them and leaving and going somewhere else, we need to all, like, if there's one thing we all need to do, it's like put the foot down, send out a statement as a notice or a note card or anything. You get it.
And in regards
to well, Eric, I think Eric caught that. Sorry for interrupting. Go ahead.
In regards to that, does anyone here right now disagree with the conditions for amnesty?
Can you state them one more time for me?
Yeah.
The conditions for amnesty as a group is a state ban Dark Sleeper and all associated alts from your sim permanently and apologize. The conditions for individual amnesty, if people just want to leave NZR permanently, or conditions for group amnesty have been met. Do not return to any sim NZR operates out of until the conditions for group amnesty have been met. Do not associate with remaining NZR members until the conditions for group amnesty have been met. And 4, if another sim falls under the purview of this by also harboring Dark or any of his alts, do not go to that group's sim or associate with their members until they've also achieved amnesty through the same process.
I think I can agree with that.
That seems fair.
Yeah, I like it.
But I do.
I mean, that's kind of like Faust is already like. Oh wait, you guys are talking about NZR. Never mind.
Yeah.
Like.
Go ahead, Nev.
So what I'm trying to understand is, okay, so we have most of the groups here. We've got Netra. We've got pretty much everybody. Do any of you actually plan on going to NZR Sim 2?
No, the Death Corp Creek have already made it perfectly clear that we do not have any intention of going to their sim. And actually, my understanding is that Sam gave them that notice for us.
We have standing orders to not go to their
Yeah,
group.
I gave a standing order not to go there.
No.
Faust.
Anytime Faust has gone there, we've hit them with legitimately everything we have. So we're gonna still go ahead and do that. However, Dark's been like permabanned, no matter the alt, no matter the account. I don't give a fuck about his affiliation. He's a piece of shit human being, but Rob and Apple are somewhat capable of being talked to. I feel like they're going to break under pressure and they are going to get rid of Dark in the end. So I'm still going to enjoy killing them. My members are going to enjoy still killing them. And like I said, I'm not going to starve my members are raiding multiple places, so that's how I feel about that. I'm only punishing Dark, and if it comes to the case of also Hellbreak, I'll punish Hellbreak too, because I don't really give a fuck. But not when it comes to Apple or his group. Yeah, some of them are fuck all retarded. If they do something, I'll just end up banning them again. So, yeah.
So, just to be clear, Kat, you're saying no as in Netra is not raiding there, or Netra is going to raid there? Just so I understand better. Okay, so Faust is the only group so far that intends to raid there.
Niv.
Seems like the case.
We will probably agree to, like, Chaos itself will probably agree to one of the two proposals that I outlined. If we go after them, we're gonna go after them fucking hard. We're basically gonna grief them. If we blockade them, we blockade them, and that'll be the end of it. What I need to know from the rest of you guys is if we show up in your sim to stab them in the fucking back and basically grief them, are you going to shit on us for it?
Yep.
Okay,
as far
well,
as
you
Grand
know,
Federation, go ahead, Sam.
Well, a tard is going to be a tard, so go ahead.
Well, I wouldn't let anybody do that to you guys. So I mean,
this is
guys.
So this is why I'm making my point here. Is I will have to talk with Griff. I'm not sure if Ryo agrees with me on this one, but I can kind of agree with that one, to be honest with you. If we're not going to combat them and they're going to be in our sim and you guys show up to raid and intercept them, we do have rules against that. But at this point, with it being such a unique situation, and I think Griff might be inclined to agree if we explain it this way, that it might just be fine. We probably won't even do anything. I can't guarantee anything right now. I will have to let you guys know because I do have to talk to Griff. But my stance on that one is I probably wouldn't punish you guys for anything.
Cryptic, you should word it this way. That rule's to protect an SLMC group. They're not considered an SLMC group until they get rid of Dark.
Well, you do have a point, actually.
Okay, Sam, can I just dial it back there? We've talked about the whole offhand shitty statement thing. I can understand if you felt strongly about the situation. Many people here do. But I'd ask, like, just a little apology for calling him a retard, please.
he doesn't have to. I don't really need any apology from anybody here. But like I said, I would not let anybody do the same shit to you guys. That goes for any fucking group. There is no personal bias. If someone came during while you guys were raiding, started shooting you guys in the back, I'd ban them.
Okay.
So
I mean, that's fair enough.
Nobody's safe from that rule.
Can I respond?
Go ahead.
Okay. I appreciate the courtesy. I apologize for calling you a retard, even though you don't require one. However, I will also say that I respect your opinion, your ability to be wrong.
Okay.
I mean, I can respect his thought process as well.
It's agree to disagree.
But yeah, it's an agree to disagree. And at this point, he's going to handle his group the way he handles it in his sim. Everybody else is going to do the same. So that's just kind of where we're at with that.
There's one thing I do want to clarify though. In the event that Dark's on the sim, same stance, you're still going to fight him, or if he TPs in and starts being shit.
He's already banned from our sim.
Oh no! I meant if he's on their sim when you go to attack. Is what I'm asking Marcus.
If he's on their sim, we're just gonna nuke him.
Okay. All right. Thanks, buddy. So basically, yeah, everyone else basically agrees the fact that no one's going to Glyph Valley as it stands. I think it's still kind of waiting with Grand Fed. I think Chaos is kind of still needing a direct answer. Yes, was it Sam?
Oh, as far as not going there, we're not. Like, there's a standing order for us to not go there, period.
Oh, as to you want an answer from us as to whether or not we're going to go there?
Yeah, that's what I was kind of trying to understand.
Well,
Yeah.
I can't speak for my group until the overlords decide to agree on something, but like I said, it'll probably be one of those two proposals.
Sounds good.
Okay.
At the very minimum, we as a community have pretty much agreed that NZR is persona non grata, and we're not going to be treating them like a group. They're not a legitimate group. They're a bunch of lone wolves that are classified as griefers, as far as we're concerned.
For the interim, we'll say.
Yeah,
But
until
I do think we need to release a public notice and actually notify them of the community's
That's fine.
stance.
That's fine.
If,
I think that should be drafted up by someone that's ready to take on that sort of heat, because you're gonna get fucking memed on by
Honestly,
Zion and them.
Sam is really good at writing up note cards like that, and I'd put my name in for Sam to write a proposal.
Speaking of that, if I can ask something about that, will this be a note card that will be passed to pretty much everybody to kind of sign and just be like, hey, this is pretty much a list of everyone that's pretty much telling you to shape up or fuck off, pretty much? In a way, like just getting a whole list of names to show that that we're serious.
Easier way to do that than trying to pass it around and delaying it more or less. If you have the power within your own group, if you have the power to state the fact that you have no intention of going to Glyph Valley until Dark Sleeper no, that's not nope, fuck it. Dark Sleeper flat and Hellbrick, but we'll see about that one. Go ahead and put it in chat, the fact that you're agreeing to that, so we can go at least put some fucking groups down. I personally agree, so you can just go ahead and put me down on there as Epsilon.
Yeah. Just
Sorry, you cut out for me. I'm lagging. What are we agreeing on?
We're agreeing on the fact that basically we're agreeing that we're not going to Glyph Valley unless our intention is to effectively Black Crusade them until Dark Sleeper is removed from that group or removed from that sim. That's pretty much.
Ryan makes a good point. Make it the groups and not the leaders' names. He just says names, give them a hit list.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, it's just anybody with authority in that group to say that that's their stance, which, could technically be anybody if they have the right.
Yeah, you can add Gradfen to that list. We're not going there. We're not treating them like a legitimate group.
There's NHS. NHS will not support that. The bullshit that they've been.
I have a request, real quick. Sorry, one request for someone that said they had a box on something. At the very minimum, could you provide most of the group with just a box that scans for a group and then just passes them that note card that here's what you need to do to get unshit listed if they do manage to show up. Because at the very minimum, then they can't avoid it. If they show up to a sim and we've got that rezzed out, then they immediately know, yeah, you're not welcome here. Here's why.
So it ejects them, but also gives them a note card.
Yeah, that way they know they don't just suddenly get ejected. Like, oh, what happened? No, here's what you did.
More like
it would essentially be on like a timer. You'd have to write an event for it where it would give the note card and then 5 seconds later eject them from the sim.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I said, it's nice having a mechanical device to do all the dirty work for you.
Yep, that works. So we're pretty much two agreements here. Let's continue talking it out as it's being worked out in chat. Keep in mind there are some people that are from NZR in this Discord still, so it's going to get back to dark before we get done. So, woohoo!
That's fine.
Yeah,
I hope he knows it's coming.
But keep in mind, I'm going to be flat about this. We seriously need to hold to this and stick to it for those of us that are actually doing anything about it. During some of the last meetings, some of us have spoken out about certain things and then gone literally right after the meetings and went and fucking did it. Not gonna name any names, but we need to make sure that's being held to. So
yeah, well, we've had standing orders since yesterday. Actually, I'm pretty sure I gave that announcement yesterday. So Grand Fed won't be doing anything.
And I don't normally condone this sort of thing, but in the case of if you have a friend in NCR, it would be wise to talk to them specifically and let them know why this is happening, so your buddies know. That way, they're not suddenly blindsided by anything. Because I'm pretty sure that you want to get to them before dark and spend.
Yeah, by all means, we don't want to ruin anybody's friendships with anybody they may have an NZR or stuff like that. But at the same time, again, majority of those people are ex-Decoratum, and I really don't have any faith for them.
I don't care one way or the other whose friendships get ruined.
Weirdly enough, I have one person who's my friend who's considering joining NZR, and I think, I'm probably not going to struggle to tell them, hey, I just conducted a huge meeting with pretty much everybody in the SLMC who gives a shit, and they just said that they don't want to do combat with that group, so if you join, you won't have...
Yeah, there are better groups out there. I mean, you can go to DCOC. I mean, there's fucking plenty of us out there now. There's better options.
Yeah.
I would definitely tell that person, hey, this is a bad idea. Here's why.
Also avoid emo butts group. Just saying, but.
Oh yeah, no, that was absolutely.
Is that still a thing?
Yeah, it's still a thing.
Yeah, then actually they're starting to act up even more.
Yeah, they're currently squatting on Lex Libertalis sim because they're not using.
I mean, they can sit there and potently all they want. It's not like they're welcome anywhere.
Yep.
That's a problem that's been dealt and done with. So
that problem kind of solved itself.
So I just want to make sure I had everything the entire meeting clear. Is that everybody agrees that Dark Sleeper needs to be banned from their sims, and of course how their approach to NCR is dependent on the group itself, or is there a united action on that right now?
Except
the
for
united
Faust,
action is except for Faust, the united action is not to give them combat or treat them like a legitimate group.
Okay, and essentially when they come attack your sims, don't give them any combat whatsoever. Essentially,
yeah, pretty much.
Just remove them if you want, or just grief them.
You can handle them in your own way as long as you're not treating them like a normal group. Like, because at this point they're not right now.
Pretend that they're the fucking anime kids that would come with their DBZ heads and shit.
Yep.
So these are the Brazilians again. This is Brazilian 2.0.
No, Brazilians are good.
The Brazilians were more legit than these fucks.
This is true.
Honestly, that's true. The Brazilians would at least fight and not do stupid shit. I mean, they use stupid gear, but they wouldn't stoop to this level.
Agree. So I think everyone's pretty much on board except for Faust. GLC more than likely. They're not. NZR is not banned from the continent, and for those of us that live on the continent, they're more than likely going to get fucking smashed from Sims over, and it's going to be sad because I already think the Proteus plans on shitting all over him. So
yeah, I know it'll be kind of easy, especially since I'm going to be doing the rebuilds for all the neutral sims in the middle.
Proteus do what Proteus does. That's pretty much how I've been seeing it.
I will say, while I don't represent Proteus, his opinion last time it was being discussed was more or less in line with ban Dark, ban Hellbrick, and just grief and shit on their members.
I do kind of want to address one thing real quick though. Most of NZR is actually on a really thin line when it comes to anything they do on my sim. So if they end up doing something regardless, they're probably just going to get banned. So like I said, it's not the fact that we're going to do absolutely fuck all nothing. It's that the fact banned and all Dark and all his accounts are being banned.
Yep.
We just like fucking them up. You know what's wrong with that? You know, we like to shoot them.
It's fine.
You know,
if that's how you want to handle the
sorry.
situation, we're cool with that.
You know, and I just like I said, it's nothing personal against you guys, but I have to enforce my Sims rules with everybody. You know, and actually thinking about it now, if it gets to a point where NZR is doing demicky shit and you guys are fighting alongside them and they end up starting shit with you in the battlefield, you guys provide proof that they cast the first stone, I won't give a fuck.
Okay,
is that a good answer for you, Sam? If they cast the first fucking stone, have at it.
Okay.
So I may seem like an idiot, but I'm an idiot that can be reasoned with.
As are many of us.
Fair enough.
So, unless anybody else has anything to add to the situation, I think we pretty much have it narrowed down. It's just more or less discussion amongst group leaders and individual. Groups to figure out pretty much what they want to plan on doing from here on out. Certain groups need to discuss it. I think Chaos still needs to talk about it amongst the overlords. I think the Grand Fed needs to deal with Griff and figure out what to do there. That's pretty much it, I think, for this subject. Does anyone else have anything that's been going on that they want to talk about? Any sort of situations during combat that have been kind of going against what we all agreed on, being like that?
I have something I kind of want to ask, but it's like over the holidays, as we're all aware, we stopped really having Neon Coconut meetings because everybody had to go see their families or whatever, and now it's not the holidays anymore, and we're all here. So, when should we next host a Neon Coconut meeting? Just next time someone does something immeasurably stupid, or should we start setting a schedule again?
I'd say a couple weeks.
I personally think that we should host one just next week and then go a couple weeks, because I would like to see the effort and what the impact on our actions with NZR and Dark are within the first week to determine if we should, maybe make it harsher if they're not reacting at all, or...
That actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah. One other thing I would like to propose is that we just start having regular bi-weekly meetings, if only because a lot of the times some shit that starts between groups is usually miscommunication, and this is a good place to get things out in the open and make sure people understand, no, I wasn't actually trying to shit on you. This is what happened.
A lot of that actually tends to go on just within the group representatives channel.
True.
And Coconut. So we try to avoid doing bi-weekly meetings just because it's too much. It's probably too much a little bit to get everyone together. But we'll discuss that. I think now we pretty much agree the fact that we should bring the meetings back more consistently.
At the most a monthly meetings.
Yeah. That's fine.
But this is a special situation because there's drama going on. So.
Yeah, special circumstances. Pretty much the only thing that I really have to add regarding all this is just, guys, we've had 3 of these now. We've talked about what's acceptable to do to other people and the way to act towards each other. There was a recent situation regarding, sorry, Grand Fed, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. There was an issue between Grand Fed and Secondary that kind of went tits up sideways, mostly because of some inaccurate details that went out, and kind of both sides started slinging shit. It got a little nasty, but I think it's mostly resolved now. But that's the sort of shit that I was talking about people kind of going back on what they've said that they're going to do from these meetings, is try to treat people better and try to not immediately turn to that. So please consider what you're doing before shit happens. Keep to what you say in here. Hold to the same morals. I try to do my best to do so, but even I get angry sometimes.
I think it won't be entirely eliminated, and we're all going to have moments where we're going to grumpily roll our eyes at either the person we're presently disagreeing with, or the people in the corner having a fight that we all thought that we'd gotten over, or something like that. And we're gonna have to suck up a couple of those, because we're still a community of people on the internet and Second Life, so by extension of that, we're all going to constantly be frothing with impotent rage. But... on the other hand, I think we certainly all want to be better than that, and I'd rather, accept the reality that, once or twice a month there might be a blowout, or maybe it'll get better over time. But otherwise, we're all a lot better for it than, to say, the worst times in the SLMC, where, flipping raging notice battles, where people are flipping throwing whatever insults at each other. We've came a long way since then.
Yeah, that's fucking true.
As far as the situation Niv mentioned with Grand Fed and Secondary, I was a big part of that one, specifically me, and I'm not going to apologize for how I handled Secondary because he does that shit a lot. What I can say, though, is that there was a very big talk about how the rest of the group handled that situation between command members, and it was a pretty lengthy one at that. So there are some changes that we haven't announced yet that I probably need to push here soon.
That's good.
But I know what you're getting at, Nick, with the whole dogpiling and shitposting kind of type deal. Like that, we talked about that, and it's going to get handled.
Yeah, that's what I heard last. Beyond that, more or less, guys, just I know we're right after the holidays. Everyone's moved into their regular schedules now. There are a bunch of new groups, including mine, that are popping up now. We should definitely try to do more combat. Like, it seems like people are fucking missing. As of lately, we've been fighting the same exact people all the fucking time. I don't know where everybody's been, but
it's the only people who are left.
Yeah, no
shit. Trying to get our armory on board because whether it's intentional or otherwise, the past multitude of times we've done combat, the escalation has gotten out of hand on us. So we're trying to just kind of fill out our armory so that we don't have to deal with plinking away at tanks with rifles.
And on that, actually, there is something I want to kind of just check with you about. So do any of those situations like stand out to you at all as ones that should be talked about, or have they all been pretty much?
Well, I mean, for the most part, it's just been Novara doing stupid shit and their group.
Oh, he's banned now.
Yeah, and the only just the overuse of AoE and lingering is what I would just like to talk about just in general. A lot of people seem to have their grenades, just their go-to seem to be something that is just like gas or what have you and things like that. We really can't do much against that right now. I mean, there's no one really in particular that I'd like to call out. It's just, if you're going to do combat with us, I know it kind of sucks, but we can really only manage just very basic combat. We can't do any like bio warfare or any of that weird shit yet.
Do you have
For the record, don't look at us. We have not used our gas on them yet, and our gas.
Oh yeah, no, you guys are fine.
I can go ahead and point it. I can go ahead and point it out. It's Nitrogun with their cryo gas.
Yeah.
Because it's not just them that I also have to deal with it. I also have to deal with it on my sim. So.
And did you guys work that issue out?
Yeah, well, I worked it out with I worked it out with them, but like at the same time, there's also been some things that I've noticed on NHS's end, which we've also established and discussed prior before this meeting. Some of their members have gone past the red line to kill Netragon, past the said red line, and it's been stated. It doesn't matter what side of the sim you're fighting on. Don't pass the red fucking lines.
That's been dealt with harshly.
And we've established that. And like I said, we have no issues with Nitrogon's ice grenades whatsoever. But like I said, there was also another reason when it came to the whole escalation. There was people on NHS's side who caused said escalation to pike.
That's not the incident exactly I'm describing. That was.
I know, but I'm just saying that's one of the many that I've witnessed.
True, but a lot of the time they'll just do it regardless of what we're using anyway. Is the problem.
So, and I think with that sometimes the fact that a lot of us are going about different ways regarding our gear and stuff like that. This is where I'm going to go ahead and sorry guys, tier systems are fucking stupid.
I agree, 100%.
Can we discuss this in like balanced discussion, or do you want to go through this in the meet?
Oh,
yeah, let's not.
We're not going to. I'm just more or less going to a specific point though with it. More or less, guys, consider what other groups have before you start using shit on them. I ripped some ass about this the other day regarding some stuff being used against my group when we don't have. We literally have ARs and a fucking sniper rifle, and some shit's been used against us a few times where it's like, well, we can't deal with that. Please consider with the newer groups that are popping up to be very cautious what you're using. Just think about it and think about if it's difficult. Okay, it's really hard to get R&D shit done when you don't have a bunch of people to do it for you. We're all starting off fresh. A lot of these new groups are. We don't have a lot of stuff. We have maybe one or two scripters that we have. Just be gentle initially. Just give everyone a break. That's all I have to really say about that. Just think before you act.
Oh, I know. It could be like kinky sex. You start off like soft, then after that you go hard, but you have a safe word. So if anything goes too far, you just say fire truck, and they take it back down to assault rifles and frag grenades.
Speaking from experience, when I was working with Faust, so far it seems most groups these days are willing to just be like, you can just message OSC, hey, such and such is using this. Do you want to escalate? And they'll be like, oh no, we'll just tell them. People are actually reasonable these days.
I hate to go off topic, but I was secretly hoping you were going to say from my experience with kinky sex.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
I was just gonna mention that it's funny that everybody uses sex to fucking equate everything else to it. It works perfectly.
The degeneracy
I mean, imagine
is
most people use sex to fucking.
real quick.
Well, I agree with that. Most people do use sex to fuck.
Yeah. Did someone else have something real quick? I just heard a voice that I didn't recognize.
Yeah,
I just. Oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
it's Ryo.
As far as gear goes, standard is not standard for everyone. And I know we've had a lot of issues because we see launchers as standard, but everyone else loses their shit.
Cool. It's a good sentiment to carry, just in general, with the example and with the stated thing. Yeah, I think if anything can be gleaned from this is that sometimes things that we just sort of come as like an expectation, like, oh, everyone's got one of these, right? You know, everybody starts out with one of these, and then you're surprised to learn that they don't even have one of those yet. Like, you know, it might just happen. So just always keep a little bit of an open mind.
Or they really don't want it, and I'm not
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
stand. No, I'm gonna go ahead and keep that soapbox in the closet right there because we've already
Thank
handled
you.
that.
Yeah, good.
But I think that pretty much calls it, unless anyone else has anything else to add.
Just a quick request. It's whoever said that they had a system for that shit. If you could go and post your name so we know who to talk to, so we can get a copy when you're done of the box that would basically auto eject NCR and give them the note card. If we can get something together to get someone to actually go ahead and script that, because I don't want that to turn into a pipe dream. Because honestly, that would just deal with the situation on its own, and either they wise up or they just don't do combat.
I think
Fair
that was
enough.
I think that was cryptic, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
Well, I said that we had something made by Ryo that could do that, but it relies on an EM's rights.
All right.
Why have
As
you?
Ryo's atting me, some people refuse to have X basic gear and then flip on people for using it. Some people don't want X basic gear. Let's say there's a group that's like purely World War One themed. They still want to do SLMC combat, but they're like, don't bring your missile launchers or something like that, or just keep them really high up in the tier. Some people just don't want to, in the same sense that some people will want to have crazy jetpack fly fighting with like super grief weapons, and you gotta like yeah, well, making a huge stink is shit in general. That is a very apt choice of words considering. But yeah, what can I say? It's again that kind of falls down to OIC communication, or if worst comes to worst, and it is absolutely irreconcilable. You absolutely have to have your Inferno grenade, or you just cannot abide by their jetpacks. Then maybe just go somewhere else. It kind of sucks in the current SLMC, but if the only way you're going to do combat with people is constantly being upset with it, then why do combat at all?
Trust me.
I don't know. I mean, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I would say, trust me, the Death Corps has been in that situation now for a while where we have not been giving quite a few people combat because we were sick and tired of jump packs.
Yep, sometimes it just be like that, and I prefer it when people can just sort of agree to disagree on that, and that seems like the majority of what's been going on. But you know, it's the SLMC, we get heated, we've got opinions on stuff, and we have balanced discussion.
Yeah, I mean, as far as it goes for like the gear situation, I can understand the difference if a group doesn't have the gear versus refusing to make it. Now, you don't have the gear, I can understand holding back and not using it until it gets made. If you're refusing to make X basic gear, as stated in a forum discussion just a couple of seconds ago, then that's completely on you guys. If you guys are refusing to make that gear because other people have it and you just don't want to deal with it, then you really don't have any room, or you don't have a leg to stand on.
Well, you do, and it's called sim rules, and you just say, don't use this on our sim, or leave.
Hey, Cryptic.
Well, I mean, that's true and that's fine, but you can't really do that on somebody else's sim when you're attacking them.
Okay, in that case, yeah, in that case, it should still be OIC communication, and I think both sides should still mediate a little. But yeah, on that case, yeah, as Gig or the leader of DCOC number 9 or whatever said.
By the way,
6, sorry, you just gotta cut it out sometimes.
we had a good reason, by the way. I'm going to throw this out there. We had a reason why it was such a problem. I'm going to go ahead and give it to you. It wasn't just that we didn't have them. It's a technical issue with our main weapons. Basically, the kill prim, people were using the jetpacks to dodge them. So suddenly, half our weapons were no longer able to do combat. So they just quit because why bother when your jetpack can maneuver a raycast or a raycast prim box.
And as a longtime user of raycast weapons, that is a common problem. If you're going fast enough, it simply won't hit.
All right. Ryo is saying the problem is when it's not bad, but immediately results in "fuck you" escalating.
Well,
yeah, absolutely agreed. But in that sense, we could just like avoid doing that by having it listed in the sim rules. If that's a message we're going to come forward with this meeting.
Out of curiosity, Cryptic, why don't you like shit or get off the pot? Like, what happened?
With what? Like
who was it?
what time do you want me to bring it up? Because it's happened with multiple groups over the past year with us on our sim.
Okay.
Like
Fair
we've
enough.
been the punching bag of the SLMC since Decoratum started to fucking die, and I'm not really complaining about it. I don't give a shit about it, but that's the truth. Everybody has shit on us the entire fucking time, and we just don't care.
Deathcore has been pretty good to you.
Well, I mean, but you guys are a newer group, though. Like, I'm just saying, like, the longer existing groups, and I'm not trying to sound like a dick, but it's just kind of, it is what it is, and we kind of understand that. Like, we're the big bad of the SLMC right now, and we just don't care, because most of, like, a lot of what people complain about is what's in our armory was due to the fact that there was a lot of other groups in the time of our infancy that were requiring us to do that. Like, a lot of the gear that we have wouldn't be there if, one, Chris didn't want to fucking work on it, or two, we didn't require it because we were trying to combat something else somebody had.
I'll look at what Ryo's got to say here. In this hypothetical, enemies push back majority of our fight, lacks the gear to escalate, but escalates with what they have. Then the team they're attacking escalates too because they're using X quick. We need to use X too. Again, I feel like this is it's a bit of a vague situation, and the first step I would take is OIC communication. As soon as one side gets upset with what the other side is doing, the answer should be to turn around and say, "Hey, why are you doing that?" If then you're both getting into a big grief war because you don't want to communicate or communication breaks down, then it's just a question of asking yourself, is this something that we really want to do with our time? And maybe other people have different opinions about this. I'm just one guy, and admittedly, I don't do half as much. No, not like a tenth as much combat as other people here. But part of me just thinks, as soon as you start doing something that you don't enjoy just to spite the other person, I mean, unless it's literally doing it to force someone out of the community, like Dark, why are you doing it?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, and I think a lot of people know this about me and the way I used to be. I would piss people off just to do it because I think it's hilarious, especially if you pissed me off for something stupid. Like, I will go out of my way to piss you off if you push me to that point. But you have to get me to that point, too. Like, you have to get me to a point where I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to reason. Like, you've pushed me enough that, you know what, it's just fuck you.
Yeah, there are also... I can speak from my experience that there are certain situations where GrandFed has forced me into, like, as an OIC, where I look at a certain combat situation and I go, like, I don't really know how to deal with this, except for using something that you guys don't have, like aircraft, for instance.
Yeah. And I completely understand you on that one. I mean, we've been there before too. So it's everybody's dealt with it in their own way, their own situation. But I mean, it takes a lot more to get me to that point now, because before it used to just be hair trigger, okay, fuck you. And now I'm a little more, I can talk, I can be reasoned with. But it still gets to the point where if you piss me off to a point where I don't want to talk to you, you might want to stay the hell away, because I'll probably end up griefing you out of the sim.
What can I say? If there's going to be repercussions on either end for doing something that's more trolly than combat-y, that's out of my purview. That's a thing. That's just not my.
I mean, at the end of the day, if it's on your own sim and you're getting grief in somebody's sim because y'all did something stupid, that's really on you guys, honestly. Like, at the end of the day, you guys own your own sims. It's your sims. No one can tell you what to do on it.
Fair enough. I'm absolutely in favor of that.
I'll tell you what to do.
I take that a little seriously in the fact that I'm going to go ahead and pull a minus here, especially since I know I sound like him. I just use that time to punch my own wiener.
I'm sure that was an entirely necessary injection.
Probably was.
with that, I think that this isn't really going anywhere further. Like,
yeah,
no, we're good.
Can we?
Hang on. Audio surgery actually had a question.
Oh, okay.
Was just a question. I know Coercion Legacy gear is no longer allowed in the community, but should we hold the AN items to the same standard? A lot of AN items are Legacy, and we see them quite often these days.
I feel like yes.
I personally feel like any legitimately dead group, that gear just kind of needs to be exiled from the community to begin with.
I made a comment.
No.
I proposed a rule like that, saying that any defunct or dead military's gear that cannot be updated to modern standards should be removed or disallowed.
I still think this is a dangerous precedent to set because the thing is, I have a good bit of like the end of coercion gear, and most of it seems to have growing spread and shit like that now. Some of the very end of the life stuff, so be careful what we're doing here.
Well, I mean,
here.
I
Let me propose something, real quick. How about if you want to use gear from a dead group that can no longer be updated, you clear it with an OIC first, and you prove that it still works properly.
I was mainly bringing it up because of the fact that AN stuff is still being used, and let's all remember, most of AN's gear was pretty up there on the holy shit why kind of tier list. So it's no longer, it's also the fact that a lot of users Legacy, but it's also from a time when people were just borderline griefing each other with.
Yeah, but
That's fair enough.
what if Chaos and Divism dies tomorrow?
Then
Their stuff
I'll
will still
have
be
to
relevant.
make the new chaos, I guess.
Oh Jesus Christ, no.
Excuse me, there will be another chaos.
Yeah, I know, but still, does that mean we can't fight in the SLMC anymore? Because I'm sure that most of our guys would still want to use our gear.
Your gear's still up to date, but let's be honest. There's AN gear and coercion gear out there that was literally built just to shit on people, to get you from the attacker spawn to the defender spawn in the blink of an eye, and then nuke it without actually dropping nukes to claim that it's conventional combat.
And I'll completely agree with that. If you want to, which is why I propose, if you want to use gear from a dead group, you have to clear it with the OIC and prove that it works the way in this fashion and the way you said it does, and that it's not broken.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Decoy gear. I know that those guys are trying to retrofit some of that gear. I think NHS might be retrofitting some of it. Correct me if I'm wrong, Audio Surgery. I'm just going to call
We're trying to dim it down. It's mainly just cores. See, we found things in the cores that just shouldn't be, so we removed them, and they work perfectly fine and normal. It's just we're dealing with only one person who can really script, with someone else who's learning. So we have to use what we had from before, but then dim it down to where it's not retarded.
Well, go ahead and, if you can, relabel them so they don't say Decoy on them anymore. Put some version numbers on them, and that way, with what this guy was saying here, it was researching Heresy Online. Yes, Decoy Voss gear, I would say, is outdated unless there's someone who can make sure that they are actually still up to date with the current standard.
The only
Decoy gear is probably just garbage.
It is. The only weapon that you'll ever see that damage prim from is an experimental launcher that was only given to officers. It was basically the old Impaler, and the only reason we would ever bring it out is if people are literally, may as well be flying at the speed of fucking sound, because it's the only seeker we currently have. But if you see any of those other damage prims, please just let us know so that we know maybe we forgot to change the name of it, and maybe might look into it to make sure there's nothing sketchy.
Okay, I just want to say, I think that we've discussed a lot of points. We've discussed even tertiary points. Can we move this into chat now?
Yep.
Can we just move into the post meeting, save Sam from having to fill his entire computer with what about this?
I'm good with that.
Nah, he's got the cloud space.
What about this? And what about that?
I can record for as long as we need to.
Don't tempt me.
By the way, real quick, is that a Geiger counter in the background for you there, Van?
Yeah. We're irradiating the entirety of London in order to get rid of coronavirus.
I was just assuming that he was slapping his dick against the keyboard.
I know.
Constantly.
Know it, baby.
God damn! What kind of extreme measures are you guys taking over there? Fuck.
I can't breathe through this.
I'm sorry, I'm a Kuma. I have to be masturbating at all times.
God, here we go.
Oh shit. Okay, Sam, I think you can stop recording now.
Yes.
Wait, I have something relevant to say.
Okay.
Oh god.
Hi.
And Cryptic, that's Isla Payne. It's being that's what the current rebuild looks